what's up, everybody? It's Jason Burress. Welcome to the 26th episode of the Burress Law Life and Friends podcast. We have these half episodes for non-legal podcasts, but today it's all legal. And my guests today, partners Kyle Hale and Brian Mincher. How you boys doing?
Wonderful.
Doing good.
In Broadcasting 101, I was always taught... I've never been to broadcasting school. But anyway, I do know that you never bury a lead. And so what we want to do is right off the bat talk about, we've got a major verdict. It's it's not a multi-million-dollar verdict, but it's you have multi-million-dollar verdicts that are really important. And then you have what I call pound-for-pound verdicts, where your verdict doesn't match the medical expenses or anything about the case, and that's what I call this one.
Absolutely. No, we were fortunate enough, Kyle and myself, along with the rest of the team, but we were the attorneys of record. We were fortunate enough to bring a big verdict in, relatively big, relative to the facts, against Liberty Mutual last week. We had 30-something thousand in past meds, and we had over $300,000 in verdict. And so that's what you're talking about with the bang for the buck.
And really important also that we recognize there was $100,000. If it wasn't $100,000, it was $100,001, one of the two.
Yeah.
Let's just call it $100,000 from the at-fault party's insurance before we ever got to the what we call a UIM claim, or an underinsured motorist claim, so a trial against our client's own insurance company. So really what I'm telling you is really it was $405,000, but on top of that, there was also personal injury protection proceeds, and so the reality is it was $410,000 on $30,000+ in medical expenses. Now, explain that.
I would love to. If I could explain that consistently and reproduce that consistently, I imagine we could sell a book and maybe some DVDs and probably make some money off of that. Truth of the matter was, we put on a very solid case. We had a wonderful team. This is my 153rd jury trial, I believe, of my career, and I've never had this much help with this strong of a team behind me. I think part of it was the performance we put on, but part of it is I think the demographics of Collin County are changing, and one of the ironic things that folks down south don't ever want to admit is when you get a good case or even a decent case that you turn into a good one, the folks up here in Collin County, they don't think that $10,000 is all the money in the world. And so we actually were able to get, if Judge Walker be believed, and I believe that we should believe him, we got the possibly the second most that he has ever had given up in his courtroom for pain and suffering and general damages.
And general damages, sort of like non-economic damages, so not medical expenses, not lost wages, but your soft stuff, your non-economic damages like pain, physical impairment, loss of enjoyment of life, mental anguish, things like that.
Yeah, we were able to recover or get awarded, however you want to think about it, over $40,000 in past pain alone, just that one damage element, and that's something to be real proud of for sure.
It's a big deal. I mean, once in a blue moon, a client will come to us, or a potential client will come to us, and they sort of think that this is a lottery ticket. Not many, once in a while.
Yeah.
These clients certainly did not, and it's a battle. It's a battle. I mean, routinely there are law firms, I mean this, many law firms settling cases over and over and over for below the medical expenses, significantly below the medical expenses. And I certainly know this based on 21 years of experience and being appointed as a guardian ad litem, so attorney for the child in these minor settlement cases, they require an ad litem be appointed. So I see these other firms engaging in these really low settlements. And the way to avoid that, I think, is to handle your cases really well, and you have to be able and willing to try them.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The first insurance company that we dealt with tried to resolve the case for, if I remember right, $22,000, and we filed suit, and we eventually resolved that portion of the case for $100,000, which was their policy limits. Then after that, we got offered, and I know this for sure because I checked, $2,000 from Liberty Mutual.
$1,000 each, $1,000 for each for the husband, $1,000
Right.
for the wife.
Correct. A grand total of $2,000, $1,000 each, and the jury said that they were only off by about $303,000.
I mean, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It felt very, very satisfying. There's very little that we get to do professionally that feels as good as looking over at an adjuster that offered you $2,000 while they're listening to a $300,000 verdict. That's very satisfying.
And a couple things, number one, we haven't put it on the list. We have a listserv that all the plaintiffs' attorneys are on, and so it's all written. So the plan is to post it this afternoon, and so we'll get that done. We'll get lots of feedback, but we've already gotten lots of feedback. As number two, I've gotten so many text messages and phone calls of what happened in Collin County. What did the judge say?
Wow.
So here, the truth of the matter is, the judge that tried this case, as soon as the verdict was read, he said to us, "Where were you guys when my mother had a case?" That's literally what he said to us.
And he said, "Wow."
Yep.
He said,
The minute the jury left the room, he sat down and said, "Wow."
And he goes, "This result will permeate throughout the courthouse." I mean, just amazing stuff.
And he was right. We went to a judge's fundraiser the next day, and people were already talking about it. So word's getting around for sure.
And here's the funny thing to me. The funny thing to me was the judge is in the room with us, and he said, he goes, I never have any cases that I try in my court where the plaintiffs do well at all. He goes, there was one case a few years ago. He starts describing this case. He goes, where we actually had a lot of success, and he starts describing it. And Mincher says what?
I said, Judge, before you go any further, I know who that case was because that was me. And it turned out he was just about to tell us about how this case that had, I believe you described it as the worst case in the history of civil jurisprudence.
The facts not being great.
Yeah, the facts were very bad for the plaintiff, and yet we somehow managed to get $50,000 in pain and suffering, and he thought that was just incredible, and he was going on to tell the story. And I thought to myself, before he gets too far down this road, I should probably let him know the guy that tried that case is in the room. And so I kind of sheepishly put my hand up and I said, Judge, that was actually my client. And I knew everything about the case because I still remembered it because it was a remarkable verdict against Snake Farm, and it was one of, I think, 3 that year that I busted policy limits. So it was, I was pretty proud of that, and I was pretty tickled that he remembered the case, although he didn't remember me. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think that it is 11 out of 13, 11 out of 14, or 12 out of 15 of the last cases have been more than policy limits that we've tried. That is a phenomenal statistic.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, we can find it, but it is 85, 90% of the cases have been busted. And by the way, this was not a great case for us.
No.
On balance, this was a great case for the insurance company. And so, I mean, one of the things that I'd want the viewers and listeners to know is that, like, generally the really good cases, the insurance company, they pay. They pay because they don't want those cases to go to trial. So when you have the checkbook, you really have an ability to direct which cases go to trial and which cases don't. So this was a case that they loved. This was a case that we understood. We thought there was potential, but it certainly wasn't in our catalog of cases a top tier, or second tier, or even a third tier case. It was a case where our clients had mild property damage. It was a case where they were fully able to drive away from the scene. It was not a case where they took an immediate trip to the hospital, or they never went to a hospital. A day or two later, they went to a Care Now, and then really just had about 3 months of chiropractic treatment,
Correct.
and that was a wrap. And so that's a case that all day long, colleagues, competitors of ours are settling those cases for $7,500, $10,000, $12,500, $15,000 on a good day. So it's a real big deal.
Oh, absolutely. I've actually had lawyers laugh at me for pursuing the UIM case that we did. Well, you already got $100,000 and you only had 30-something thousand in meds, you greedy SOBs. Just take it and go away.
So why did we do it?
Because I believed in the case. I believed in the clients. The case by itself, fact-wise, was not that strong, but I believed in these clients, and I believed that they would be able to present very well at trial, and I was right. They were two of the most likable people that I've had the pleasure of representing, and I just thought a jury would like them as much as I did. On top of that, we went out and hired some experts to talk about the future damages, and my thought was that we would at least have enough to scare some money out of the insurance company. And when the insurance company never gave us an incentive to go away, then we just figured we'd have to go take our chances, and we put on a good case. As good of a case as we can given the facts that we have to work with. I've always tell this to folks, when you come in and visit with me, we're going to do a really good job, but we can't manufacture facts. So you've got to show up with a case. And they showed up with a marginal to okay case, but I think the way the insurance company handled it, I think worked into our strategy, and having some really strong clients that were very presentable went a long ways. And I think that that, plus just having the courage to go down there and look the people in the eye and tell them what you believe and really mean it, it just goes a long ways. Because I think that in this day and age, people are hard up for continuity and for someone being genuine. And so when we go in there with people we love and present them that way, it's hard for the jury to see it differently.
I agree. I think we can talk about all the things that we do and how great of attorneys we are and how great of a staff we have and all that type of stuff. But having clients who are likable, having clients who are respectable, like the female client is a nurse practitioner.
Correct.
I mean, you name the profession you'd rather have before a nurse practitioner. I couldn't name you one.
I couldn't either.
None?
Maybe a school teacher?
Yeah,
School
maybe
teacher?
none, yeah.
School teacher, none,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
nurse practitioner. Give me one of those three.
Somebody that works with, injured children or something,
Yeah.
but nurse practitioner's up there for
But
sure.
she's very likable. The couple, they were in their 30s and attractive. That always helps. I mean, there's things. I mean, we're pulling back the curtain a little bit, but it does matter because once in a while we'll have somebody come in that they interview, and we're trying to figure out whether to offer our services. And gosh, if they're not likable, if they're looking at this like a lottery type situation and making all sorts of demands before we get started, it's just not a case that we will take.
No, I've had to do that a couple times. If you show up to your interview and you've got more tattoos than I do, then you're going to have a pretty good case. And we've had guys show up with tattoos on their face, and like, all right, well, you're going to have a heck of a case here because I know how I would play defense on this thing. And I think that's one of the huge advantages that we have is I believe every one of us at this table is a more aggressive defense lawyer than most of the defense lawyers that we come across. And so whenever we mock up, well, what if they say this? What if they say that? How are you going to handle this? It's very difficult for them to come up with something that the people at this table and the people in our office haven't already come up with. And I think that's one of the underrated things about this firm, or under the radar things about this firm. I don't know any other plaintiffs firms that are full of ex-defense lawyers. And that's comforting to the client whenever they hear that. But I think just from a strategy standpoint, it's very, very difficult for the opposing side to come up with something that we haven't already done ourselves back when we played defense, or that we haven't thought of in the way that we would defend any particular case. So I think that is a part of it as well, is in our prep sessions, we're defending this thing more aggressively than the real life defense lawyer is. And when you go in there and you've already thought of all the things they might say and you've already come up with all the responses, it's really easy to look clever. It was really easy to look quick and smart because you've already thought of it ahead of time. So I think that had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, so one of the things, kind of pivoting on that a little bit, I think the verdict itself is a real reflection of the work that got put into it. So as you were saying, there's this issue with the case, there's that issue with the case, but the team was able to build that damage model despite the warts on the case just by the work that we put in. We put in way more work than most plaintiffs' firms on our cases, and I know that we had way more firepower there. And so it's really comforting if I'm questioning a witness or I'm doing something to know that Brian knows exactly in the file where it is in the records, what I need, and he can get it to me and vice versa. And when you take that sort of work ethic, you apply it to the case and then you bring the talent, that's how you get the verdict.
So explain that firepower, like their side, our side, like how you saw it.
Yeah, it was a complete mismatch. I mean, they were overmatched firepower-wise. So Brian has over 150 cases he's tried. I lost count of my number, but it's, I've tried a lot of cases. And then they're sitting over there with a very good defense lawyer, a very good board-certified defense lawyer who's doing everything by himself. We've got a team of people. We had myself, we have Brian, we had another attorney. At every corner, we were there to beat them. We were a step ahead of them. We knew exactly what we needed, where to find it. When you've got 2 or 3 good lawyers going against one good lawyer, odds are the firepower is going to win.
Yeah, we had 2 lawyers talking on the case, but we had 3 lawyers assigned to it from our firm's perspective. Our third lawyer's tried over 50 jury trials.
Yeah.
So we had a guy sitting on the rail that's tried a impressive number of jury trials. And then beyond that, we didn't know Jason was going to come down, but then he was kind enough to come down and help us out. Trish did as well on the first day. We had more firepower behind the rail than most firms can put in front of it.
David, too. Yeah, we had David there.
And David was there the whole time. It is David's litigation file, and he knew the file like the back of his hand. Anything that anybody needed, he was on top of it. He was often working on it before we started asking him about it. And as a result, it allows us to look that much more professional. I cannot stress enough how important it is to present a unified front. And whenever everyone on the team is singing off the same sheet in the hymnal, because we've already looked through this, and I know how he's going to question his witnesses. He knows how I'm going to question mine. We already know what we want to get out of everything. The continuity, when your job is to tell a story that's believable and their job is to poke a hole in your story and make it not be believable, that continuity and having one voice from your side, I think, is just crucial. And I think that's a lot of why we got the result that we did.
It was the first trial that we've had at the firm that I have been in the cheap seats. Boy, let me tell you, that was tough for me. I was trying to hide it as best I could.
Well, you weren't hiding it well.
And for those that weren't present, Judge Walker called out Mr. Burress and said what an admirable job he was doing of attempting to sit on his hands in the back of the courtroom, and he knew it was tearing him up, and it was. And we knew because our phones were getting blown up with, hey, did you ask this? Hey, did you think about that? Hey, what about this?
I just didn't know if it would be appropriate, but I was looking to call a timeout, like signal for a timeout.
So the funniest part to that is when we're in trial, I turn my phone off and put it in my briefcase.
And frankly, I knew that, but I was still going to hammer
you. And so you're sending me 6,000 texts.
I just wanted to let you know that I was thinking about the case and I had some ideas, but I knew you didn't have your phone.
When I turn it back on, it's ringing off the hook.
I just wanted you to know I was engaged. I was not over there checking my email.
I went through them. I was very helpful if I'd have seen that.
All right, well, good job. Respect the heck out of both of you. Great job. Thanks. I mean, fantastic. And let's turn to Chapter 2. So we've had some major additions to the firm, and I want to get y'all's takes, your hot takes on them. Truthfulness, honesty. Tell me what you think.
Well, I'm pretty proud in particular one of them because I wrangled her. So I'm going to brag on Rachel.
You're looking for a referral bonus, basically. I mean, where's the referral bonus?
I thought there would be like a T-bone steak or something on the table in regards to this. No, Rachel and I used to work together at a firm down in Dallas, and I thought that she was one of the bright young stars of that firm. And so whenever we were looking to add another attorney, and specifically we were looking to add another female trial attorney, her name came up, and I was very, very anxious to get her in front of you guys. I love the guys, and we got a great dynamic, but you need to have a female trial attorney on the roster, because there are certain things, and we found out with this trial, there's certain things that are very awkward for us to talk to our female clients about. And so we bring Tricia in to talk to our client about how to dress and what earrings to wear and not to wear and how to fix their hair, and that's not something I know just a whole lot about. And for those things and a million other things that I'm probably not aware of, it's really nice to have a really competent female trial attorney, and man, do we have that in Rachel. I have in the past been fortunate enough to reach out and grab a female colleague in the past whenever I would have a particular issue that would come up, and it's really, really nice to have that. It's huge. So she is really, really strong. She's really, really good, and she's an addition to the team that I think is just going to make us that much better.
The seventh attorney makes us easily the largest personal injury firm in Collin County.
Oh, yeah.
By attorneys, by overall team count, by square footage. You name the metric, we are the biggest and, I mean, clearly the best. Are you kidding me? I mean, like, it's not even a contest.
Yeah, and then we got Kristen in as our first, what title did we give her?
Chief Operations Officer.
COO.
COO, that's what they call it. Mm-hmm.
With a ton of talent and a ton of experience, just to make us run that much more smoothly, so we can focus on serving our clients.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you are spending a third of your day working on operations and things like that, and not able to direct the attention that you need, which is, something that I really have to deal with a lot. So to get more help on the operations side is a huge benefit.
And two thoughts on it is the first is I love to reminisce to years ago when you and I joined up and what it looked like then and what it looks like now, which is night and day. Mm-hmm. But then, the better we are as a team on all aspects, even on the non-legal stuff, just, getting the business running right, that just makes us better to be able to go out and serve our community.
Yeah, and I think we've done a good job on operations. It's not that we haven't done a good job, but there's such a big price to pay to try to grow the firm and do all the things that need to be done while practicing law. And so it's been really difficult. But I think that, one of the things that Kristen said, so Kristen May is her name, one of the things that Kristen said is some sort of comment about, she's coming in and feels really great about the talent and where we're at as a firm and where we're at operationally. I mean, it's not that everything's perfect. It's certainly not, but she doesn't feel like we're like way off the train tracks, which makes me feel good. But as we continue to grow, I mean, we really need the leadership in that direction.
Oh, for sure. Well, and the thing is, if you're 1 degree off and you're throwing a ball from me to you, it's not that big a deal. If you're 1 degree off and we're trying to hit a target 1,000 yards away, we're going to miss by 10 feet.
Yeah, and we're in a different environment. I mean, we 7-8 years ago, 5% of the law firms in our area were offering benefits. Now, not only are they offering benefits, but we are competing against Fortune 500 companies for talent. Like, you can't do anything in our business halfway, or you won't get the talent, you won't get the clients, you won't get the results. I mean, over and over and over, you need the infrastructure in place. And we can talk about the seventh attorney all we want. We can talk about the of counsel. We can talk about the partners. We can talk about, but you have to have the infrastructure too.
Yeah, and part of that is going to be the new building.
No
Why don't
question.
you tell the ladies and gentlemen a little bit about how that building is going to help serve our clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think, maybe they don't say it, but they think, oh, you guys have a new 11,000 square foot building. You've got
It's 11. I always tell it's 13. So I've added
it's
2,000 square feet to
I think
it
it's
somewhere.
I think it's close to 12. I think it's close to 12. But then we get into those things like, does the patio count or does it not? Does the
counts.
covered porch count? Okay,
It
well,
counts.
we can call it 13.
That's how I get to
all we want.
13,
Yeah,
so.
there we go. But it's so I think a lot of people maybe don't say it, but they think, okay, well, that's great that they have a new building that's a Class A and it's got all these amenities, but what does that really mean for me? Are you kidding me? I mean, I get the question, but are you kidding me? It affects the clients in every way, shape, or form. I mean, first of all, we spend a ton of time with our clients. When we prep them for deposition, the minimum is how many days?
2 days.
2 days to prep them for a deposition. Oftentimes, some cases I'm working on, I'll do 5 days of prep. And when you are in that close of contact, and that close quarters, I mean, the ability to, go outside on a covered porch with a fireplace, a fountain, which I don't know if you know, I mean, but a fountain, when you got running water, it just makes the anxiety level go down, makes the stress go down. I mean, yoga in the building, we have some sort of rainfall thing happening on the first floor. I mean, wherever we've got an elevator, we have elevator access. I mean, so a lot of our clients we just had one that we signed up on Thursday or Fridays, and they're in a wheelchair. Well, I mean, that's a big deal to have an elevator.
Right.
I mean, so one of the things that I think is really cool, so we did a major upgrade to the infrastructure of the building. We brought in not only insulation to all the inside walls, but also quiet rock. And so private conversations are meant to be private. And we have knocked down 90+% of the noise from any other building in our village. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So if you're in a conference room, we can host multi-party mediations, and nobody can hear what the other party's doing. We are, from our war room to our private offices. I mean, the ability to have a hush-hush environment and not have all the noise is great. And that's not even getting to the chef and the cook and high quality meals. I mean, having a good grilled chicken salad. I mean, I know it's news to some, but that's going to make you healthier than enchiladas. And so we're going to be able to bring that not only to our clients.
Why does he keep looking at me when he says that?
But our staff.
No comment.
But there's so many things that we're doing for the client in technology. I mean, it's the highest rated technology that you can. I mean, I could tell you the amount of money that was spent, and it would blow you away. But it's going to be. I mean, we can have focus groups, we can have mock jury trials, we can do everything right at our office. We can do podcasts like we're doing now, where we raise the efficiency of our staff and our attorneys. I mean, everything that we're doing is intentional with the new building.
Yeah, I think I really look forward to the outdoor area. Because, man, when you are prepping someone, whether it's for deposition or trial or whatever, and you're getting in on the hours, there is nothing nicer than, let's go step out on the patio and sit down and breathe some fresh air instead of staring at the walls in this conference room.
Yep.
And so the ability to do that, I think, is just going to be massive. It just immediately refreshes you.
Well,
walk
not
outside.
only are you just outdoors, but you're outdoors overlooking a golf course, overlooking pickleball courts. I mean, there's a very nice view there. It's going to be really nice. I look forward to being able to take a break and sit out and oversee that view.
Yeah, because you were never meant to be in an office 10 hours a day every day.
No.
I mean, like you in particular,
Right.
I think really enjoy all the amenities.
Yes, I like the change of scenery. That's one of the things that we all talk about the technology and it's great because you got Zoom, you don't have to drive anymore, and that's all well and good. But you also don't get to get out and get a change of scenery anymore. And I like getting to go out and see the other folks' offices. And I like whenever people come over to our office to be able to flex on them a little bit. And so from that perspective, that's going to change things for our clients more even than they realize. Because whenever you have opposing counsel come over to your office and they're going, oh, my God. It makes a difference. I mean, we were talking about some of the little subtle things that made a difference in that trial. That's one of those things that absolutely makes a difference. When opposing counsel comes over, they can't help but be impressed. It makes a difference.
And think about just like the comfy couches and chairs where like right now in our office, I mean, yeah, the chairs are pretty, but after 20 minutes, you've had enough. I mean, you're ready to stand up and so forth. And so the ability to keep clients focused so that we can do the trial prep, do the deposition prep, do the intakes, that's a very big deal. And we will have that ability, and we will have those creature comforts now, which is a big deal.
And one of the things about the new building, and in all honesty, I don't know if I told you this, I actually walked through it this weekend. I probably wasn't supposed to be in there, but I got in there anyway.
Without a hard hat?
Yeah, no, there was no hard hat. But it was just me. It was just me. So if anyone got hurt, it would have just been, I can't sue myself.
Yep.
And so the spaciousness, it is so open. And I mean, the way it's done and the way it's open, I just walking around, I'm like, this is just going to draw us to collaborate on things. It just, both downstairs, upstairs, no matter what. It's just a really cool feeling.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, any parting comments?
I think that my parting comment is if Liberty Mutual or any other insurance companies out there and they're thinking that they're safe hiding behind that $100,000 that was out in front of them, you're not safe.
I just wanted to thank you. It was your case. I just got brought on to help try it and really enjoyed it.
And thank you as well. It was so nice having somebody with that much experience. I don't even say second chairing, co-chairing, co-counseling the case. Strong team behind you makes you feel strong. I'm a pretty bold guy in general, but whenever you got that much firepower behind you, bring it.
I'll tell you, it was fun. It was fun observing, watching it happen. I thought the case was well defended. So, it's pretty, it doesn't always happen where we're thanking the other side, but, I appreciated his overall professionalism, what he brought to the table. It was certainly a challenge. So, on to the next. And let me end with this. Did our clients bring us cookies, or was that somebody else?
No, it was our clients.
Yeah, the cookies are gone.
So it was like the next day they brought us cookies. Oh, how nice! I mean,
and I only had to test a couple before I felt comfortable.
That's the thing. I mean,
we don't want anyone getting poisoned on
We can talk about fees, and we can talk about money, and we can talk about respect and accolades. But I mean, to me, there's so much to be said for building the relationship that matters with the clients. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Great job, boys. We hope you've enjoyed it. Victory Monday. I don't know when this podcast will come out, but we'll just call it Victory Monday. We'll make it come out next Monday. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.